We all think about it, right? How to stay active, how to stay independent as we get older. But what if the way we've been approaching it is missing a huge piece of the puzzle? What if the real secret isn't quite what we've been told? I mean, we hear it all the time. Build muscle strength. And that's absolutely important. But what if there's another factor, something even more critical, that directly predicts our ability to stay on our feet and avoid injury? What if the secret isn't just about being strong, but about being fast?
Okay, so let's get right to it. For so many older adults, the biggest threat to independence isn't a disease. It's the fear of falling. It's a really serious concern. But the good news is, science is pointing to one specific physical ability as the ultimate key to preventing it. And here's where it gets super interesting. Notice the language here. The research is very specific. It doesn't just say strength. It identifies a decline in muscle power as the #1 predictor for falls and disability. That one word, power, changes everything. And this isn't just some fringe theory. A 2022 study in the Journal of Biomechanics puts it right out there, plain as day. When it comes to stopping a fall before it happens, power is more important than pure strength. That's a game-changing idea. So what in the world is the difference?
All right, let's break down this crucial difference. Strength versus power. They sound similar, but they're really not.
Think about it like this. Strength is just about raw force. It's the absolute most you can lift, like a slow, grinding, super heavy squat. But power adds the secret ingredient, speed. It's all about how quickly you can produce that force. It's the difference between slowly lifting a heavy box versus explosively jumping up onto it.
And of course, scientists have a name for this. It's called rate of force development, or RFD for short. Basically, it's just a measurement of your explosiveness. How fast can your muscles go from zero to maximum effort? That's your RFD. And here is exactly why that matters. Picture yourself tripping on a crack in the sidewalk. You don't have time for a slow, controlled movement to catch your balance, right? No way. You have milliseconds. Your RFD, that ability to instantly generate force, is what allows your muscles to fire fast enough to get your leg out and stop you from falling. Okay, so this explosive power is clearly a big deal. But here's the million-dollar question. Can you actually get it back later in life? Well, a really remarkable study gives us a very clear answer.
So, researchers got together two groups of healthy, active women. The first group was between 60 and 65 years old. The second group, and get this, was between 80 and 89 years old. They wanted to see what a specific type of training could do.
Now, when the study started, the results were pretty much what you'd expect. The group of women in their 80s had a 44% lower rate of force development, that's 44% less explosive power, than the women in their 60s. That is a massive 2-decade-wide gap. But then, this is where it gets incredible. After only 12 weeks of a special training program, that 44% deficit, it didn't just shrink, it completely disappeared. The women in their 80s became just as explosive as the women 20 years younger than them. Just wow. So how on earth did they do it? Well, by focusing on a very specific type of training. The 80 to 89-year-old group increased their explosive force, their RFD, by an absolutely astonishing 51%.
And this chart is where the story gets really clear. Yeah, they got stronger. Their max strength went up 28%, which is awesome. But look at their explosive force. It shot up by 51%. The gains in power were nearly double the gains in simple strength. They got way, way faster than they got stronger.
And that's the real headline here. In just 3 months, these women in their late 80s didn't just get a little better. They effectively erased a 20-year gap in the one physical quality that's most tied to staying mobile and preventing falls. They turned back the clock. So what was this magical training program that got these results? Well, it's actually simpler than you'd think, but it all comes down to a very specific focus. Here are the basics. First, they used heavy weights, around 75 to 80% of what they could lift just one time. Second, and this is the secret sauce, they focused on maximal intentional speed. Every single rep, they tried to move that weight as fast and explosively as they possibly could. And, of course, this is critical, it was all done with professional supervision to make sure it was safe. Now, this kind of workout is called power training, and it can take many forms. You've got things like ballistic training, which is like explosively throwing medicine balls. There's plyometrics, which are basically just jumping exercises. Even some of those Olympic lifts you see, like power cleans, totally fit into this category. So let me just say this one more time because it's so important. The weight itself might not actually move that fast because it's heavy, but the intention from your brain to your muscles, the signal to move with maximum speed, that is what trains your nervous system to be explosive. It's all about the intent.
Okay, so let's wrap all this up. What is the one thing you should take away from all this for your own fitness journey?
Well, the researchers from that amazing study said it perfectly. They found that if you combine heavy weights with the intention of maximum acceleration, you will get superior gains in explosive force and muscle power. Not just good gains, superior gains.
When it all comes down to it, your ability to be fast and explosive is a much better tool for staying mobile and independent than just being strong. It is the real-world skill that lets you react, catch yourself, and move through life with confidence. So, I guess I'll just leave you with this question to think about. When you plan your workouts, are you just training to be strong, or are you training to be capable, to be quick, to be resilient, and to be ready for whatever life throws or trips your way? The answer to that question could change how you move for the rest of your life.